The Carolina Panthers come into week number 11 hoping for a little bit of redemption and hoping to get back on track after an embarrassing lapse last week against the New Orleans Saints. They welcome in a familiar foe that is just right up the interstate. After securing a victory earlier this year, they look for the season sweep of this particular team in division and gain ground on the division leader before going through a rough final 6 games. Want to find out who the opponent is and what Mr. CeeLo believes the keys to victory will be in this foe that is close to my home? Stay tuned to find out on Growlin' and Prowlin'. Welcome back, Gabbers. Thank you guys for joining us here on another edition of Growlin' and Prowlin'. Once again, you are here with me, Mr. CeeLo. I hope you guys have had a great weekend. My weekend's been exceptionally busy because, as you know, I also watch a lot of college football, so it has not been an uneventful weekend as if you guys were watching. But it's time to tend to business, yes, because we are getting close to what they call the final stretch. But before we get into the description of that, guys, Mr. CeeLo and Growlin' and Prowlin' have their first sponsor. And guys, I must tell you, this is something that I believe in and I think every good man should have. You guys need to go by and check out this product. He builds it, fixes it, lifts it, breaks it, then builds it again. The world calls him a man. We call him an effing man. TF Man, the lotion made for hands that earned it. Crafted from grass-fed tallow, squalene, and grit. No flowers, no fluff, just results. TF Man by LV. You guys know what kind of man a TF Man is? He's the man that gets it done. Just like me. Just like you. The one who doesn't need a filter. Like Mr. CeeLo. The one who doesn't need a hashtag or permission. He's not just a man. He's the effing man. And now he's got the lotion to match. What? TF Man, the whipped tallow cream from LV. Made from grass-fed beef tallow, squalene, and true grit. No chemicals, no perfume, just hand-earned hydration. For hands that build, lift, and live. Make sure you guys go online and check this out. Guys, I'm going to put the QR code up there on the screen. And if you guys put in the code FRIENDS20, you get 20% off your first order. Make sure you go over to their website. And guys, let me tell you, as a man that loves to look awesome and smell fabulous, this is perfect. I have been using it a couple of weeks, you guys, and I'm going to tell you, every time I get out the shower, I got to put it on my face and I got to put it on my hands. Because when you start getting to be my age, you got to start protecting all this, you guys, because guess what? The ladies not only like for you to look fabulous, they also want you to smell terrific. Because you don't want to just be the man. You want to be the effing man. And guys, I will tell you, there is nothing more alluring to the ladies than a man that looks amazing, smells exotic, is just downright the effing man. And we hope the Panthers can go out and be the effing man on Sunday. Especially given the fact that if we've got a date on Monday night That's right, you heard me, on Monday night with the San Francisco 49ers. Now, I'm just going to put this out there once, maybe twice. Do I think the Carolina Panthers are in a slump? No. Do I think there are certain things that we need to fix? Absolutely. Do I think we've reached our full potential this late in the season? No. And for many of you that have just been absolutely blowing up our quarterback, Bryce Young, blowing up Bryce Young on these chat boards and chat rooms, I would have you know that when we sit and we look at Bryce, a lot of the problems that we're dealing with, you have to realize that protection comes first. And I'm sitting here listening to people say, protection looks good here, protection looks good here. No. And there's a reason why Austin Corbett has been swapped for Chandler Zavala. Did I just say that?
Bruh.
Yeah, Canellis announced that they will be going with Chandler Zavala. Now, a lot of you are probably going to say that was a business decision. You can call it what you want. I mean, I call it a situation where the decision is dire because Corbett has not, played well. When Grady Christensen was out there, I mean, you could argue Chandler Zavala was out there when Rico had one of his best outings, and of course, in comes the Atlanta Falcons run defense that just gave up 244, which does not bode well for me. I don't care what any of these other guys on these podcasts saying that bodes well for Rico Dowdle and this, that, and the other. Look, we faced off against a Saints team that had one mission: make Bryce Young beat us. And here's the reality. Let's stop saying Bryce Young is the guy that's got to beat us, okay? Dave Canellis is the one that draws the plays up. He's the one that's the OC. If he's not, well, he's not the OC, but he's calling the plays. And the reality of it is, Panther Nation, we keep sitting here talking about how Bryce's performance is the problem. What about Dave Canellis? Dave Canellis has not shown us very many plays. Now, I remember, I think it was Jared Feinberg. I can't remember who it was. I was watching a X where he put 3 plays where Bryce did not throw the football to guys. I'm going to see if I can't find that because it really irritated me because I was watching the plays as they developed. And I'm sitting here like, dude, by the time he had that route come open, he had pressure in his face. This ain't last year Bryce Young. I mean, you got quarterbacks in here right now that wouldn't make the kind of throws you're talking about. That's not a sample size. And not to mention last year, a lot of the times Bryce was either able to go straight up the middle with no problem, or he was able to get outside with no problem. He doesn't have that this year. Ike Ekwonu has been up and down, regardless of what his PFF has said. And he's one of the guys that they're picking, I think it's Panther Wire, to be a guy that's going to have a breakout. Okay. Based on what? Ekwonu has been up and down, just like he's been his entire career. He was much better his rookie season. But as of late, his PFF grades have been no kind of reflection based on his performance. I'm just going to put it out there. Many of you will disagree with me, and hey, that's fine. PFFs don't always paint the whole picture. And the reality of it is we got so many analysts out there that want to say, okay, Bryce has got to do better than X, Y, and Z as far as yardage. And you know that number that we're talking about, 200 yards. I would rather have a quarterback that can give me fourth quarter victories than a quarterback that can kill it the first 3 quarters, and then when the money's on the table, he fails. That is a wonderful problem to have for a 3-year starter. I really can't count the first year. And so many of you forget that 1 year can destroy a quarterback. And the reality of it is, Dave Canellis in his first coaching position, he's looked great. The last games we played last year, he hadn't shown me that he can understand. I got Tedero McMillan. I need to realize that ultimately I need to push this offense through him. And then I heard people say that Tetairoa McMillan would be doing better if he had a quarterback that threw him the ball.
Dumb shit! Dumb shit! Dumb shit!
And that's the reality. I'm sick and tired of hearing people just trash him. Maybe the problem is within the two working systems. That system being Dave Canellis and what Bryce Young does. Because it does not look like that they're doing what Bryce likes. And if any of you actually know anything about the game, the reality of it is you have to work with what your quarterback does well. And so many out there are sitting. Now, I'm not talking about you guys that are watching my show. I'm talking about a lot of people that'll come over here and wonder, why do you take Bryce's side so much? Because ultimately, too many quarterbacks get drafted and are asked to do what the coach wants to do. When you take a franchise quarterback, you have to take the guy that fits either what the system you're putting in place, or you have to take the quarterback that is going to be easily mendable. The thing is, I was watching, who was I watching last night? I was watching the Texas A&M game. The Texas A&M quarterback. Of course, he's not coming out this year, but then I was thinking about Lenore Sellers because so many people have said it. Well, I wasn't thinking about him. I can tell you right now, he ain't that dude. Y'all better get your hopes down. If you think Bryce is bad, it's going to be another Anthony Richardson all over again. And so many of you saying, the Lenore Sellers.
Stupid.
He picked one game out of the last 5 games for him to actually show up. And don't tell me how bad his line is, and don't tell me how bad his receivers are. He's just as bad. He ain't no work. He's just as bad as DJ Lagway. So don't get me started. None of them. You could put both their seasons together this year, and it never amounted to what Bryce did at Alabama. So I'm gonna go ahead and challenge any Panther fan out there that really wants to say Bryce is the problem. Don't think about Lenore Sellers. Don't think about DJ Lagway. Because if Bryce can do what he did at Alabama, and these guys can only, I say potential. You have to work with what this player does well. I say one thing Bryce has got to learn to do. He's got to learn to let it go to Ted McMillan. He's got to learn to let it go to Jalen Coker. And the problem is when you got a fan base that wants to sit there and slaughter you for every mistake that you make and don't know the details. We have to remind ourselves, just like a running back. Y'all were so quick to sit there and come to Rico Dowdle's defense. Me personally, I don't think Rico Dowdle has a right to open his mouth at all. You heard me say it. He does not have a right to open his mouth because this line has opened up holes left and right for him. You get him past the first 5, yeah, that's just like Chuba. Now, Chuba's not nearly as physical as Rico, I'll admit that. Whereas Chuba would probably take a run that Rico could possibly take to the house, Chuba would probably carry it for maybe 12, 13, 14 yards. But the truth of the matter is, Rico can't get anything done without that line. The Saints proved that last week. Because as a matter of fact, yards per carry, Chuba outgained him. Where's the disdainment now? It's mighty funny when your narrative changes. But the point is, the offensive line has been so banged up. Chandler Zavala being placed in there with Austin Corbett just tells us exactly where Austin Corbett is as far as being at top form where he once was. Not good. And the truth is, the line continues to be an Achilles heel for us because what's happening with the Carolina Panthers is the biggest fear. And you got to give Dave Canellis as well as Dan Morgan a lot of credit for thinking ahead on that. Because, guys, I'm going to say it like this. If we could just get this line healthy, oh my gosh, it would just be something absolutely just remarkable. The good thing is Cade Mays is back. Taylor Moton doesn't have an injury designation by his name. But it's going to be Chandler Zavala. I mean, I would even say Jake Kurhan had been good in his one start. But ultimately, Ike Ekwano's got to be good. And we're coming in today against a really, really pretty good pass rush in the Atlanta Falcons. They ranked 5th in sacks. When they were right there with us last year, I think they almost have as many sacks now as they had all of last season. So you can see James Pierce Jr. and the rookie out of Georgia, Walker, have been a huge improvement over what they had last season. But then again, you also have to look at the fact that the scheme has changed a little bit. And for no more, the Atlanta Falcons are going through the same issue that we're going through right now. And that's questions about their quarterback. But then I hear through the grapevine in Atlanta, quarterback and the play caller can't get on the same page. I mean, Penix had some good moments last season. I just don't understand why OCs or play callers don't understand. This ain't about you. You have to do. It's the same thing that went on at Houston with C.J. Stroud. The reason C.J. Stroud was so successful his rookie season and even parts of his second year was because former OC Bobby Slowick knew how to call what Stroud liked. And you have to go back, watch the film, and see what this guy did exceptionally well out of Alabama. I'm not seeing that. And for all of y'all that sit there and say, Alabama didn't, he had a dead arm, you better go back and watch that tape. And what I don't understand about Canellis is, my dude, why are you trying to throw these little slants and this, that, and the other when you're running the ball? You use the short passing game because you don't run the ball. You got to take shots down the field. And you got the tight ends. Do you guys realize our tight ends have, I think 4 receptions in the last 2 games to the tight end? You got away with that against Green Bay. You ain't getting away with that against the Falcons. I'm just keeping it a buck with you. When we were winning games, guys, you got to hear me on this. Like that throw, I think it was intercepted by the Saints. That's a good throw. And I'm sitting here hearing guys say, oh, that's a bad throw. And I said this on the show. Look, when you got a guy in the Saints, and I can't remember his name right offhand, I'm drawing a blank, but he's one of the best. He's been in the league a long time. But then a lot of y'all will sit there and say if he didn't throw the ball, oh, yeah. Now, I will admit, Jalen Coker was coming open right behind it. Okay. But then the same people that sit here and chastise him for it are the very ones that will tell him he needs to release it. Let it fly. I'm just hoping Dave Canellis understands we need to throw it down the field. Now, granted, this is a tough game to do it in because you do have rookie sensation out of Notre Dame, Xavier Watts, as well as Jesse Bates lurking out there. 2 guys that are known for their ball hawking ability and their ability to make teams pay, especially Jesse Bates. And we've already seen Xavier Watts proving himself already on this football team with that clincher early in the year against Minnesota, which has been a long time since the Falcons have won a game. The Falcons pretty much are in a situation now where this could be Raheem Morris's job. So, yeah, I'm just going to be honest with you guys. This is a must-win for them. So this is going to be an exceptionally tough game for the Carolina Panthers, given the fact that Raheem Morris is probably coaching for his life. I think ultimately you can't help the fact that there are guys out there that are not performing well, and he's the one that is going to take the brunt of that. But it's the nature of the business. But we can't focus on that. We have to focus on the fact of what we have to do, because right now, I'm not going to sit here and blame everything on Bryce, because needless to say, the Carolina Panthers should have been able to win that game 7-3. I know a lot of you are going to say we should have scored more than 17 points. We got to look at it from the standpoint of last season. There were a lot of games the Panthers were putting up 30 plus and we still lost games. The Bengals have that problem. This year, we can honestly say that the defense has stepped its game up and played well. You could argue with the Falcons when they lost last week, the defense should have done more. I mean, they did allow Jonathan Taylor to go over 240 yards rushing. So I don't think we're going to have that to lean on. I'm not saying we shouldn't run the football just to test and see what the Falcons are doing. I think, however, the play palette needs to get a little bit deeper. As many people don't realize that the Panthers drove down deep into Saints territory last week, and a miscommunication between Bryce and Jimmy Horn Jr., it cost us a deep possession in the red zone. That can't happen. If we got to look right at Jimmy Horn and say, you're getting the ball, you do that. You do that. Because, I mean, we cannot have turnovers in the red zone, especially when we're sputtering like we've been sputtering recently. I think, realistically, when you look at this Falcons front, they do a lot of different things. They try to get guys like Xavier Watts up around the ball. They try to do the same with Jesse Bates. Needless to say, these are guys that actually do a great job getting in the backfield. And those guys being Ronnie Harrison, Brandon Dorius, Zach Harrison, and even Jalen Walker, the guy that we were flirting with during the NFL draft. These guys did not have a bad game when we played them back in Charlotte, but I think ultimately this is a team that can be had. But it's not going to be a secret what the Falcons are going to want to do. And this is where our size, Dave Canellis, use our size on the edge. Jalen Coker has been a no-show, and it's not to a fault of his. It's because we are not utilizing him. If you're playing this dude in the slot, why are there not more deep shots down the seam? We cannot have 5 guys in the 5 wide, and all 5 of them are running short stuff. Ted McMillan that should not be running short. If anything, it should be either he, Jalen Coker, or even Xavier Legette. He's been catching a lot of flack as well. And there were 2 times that Legette was open and Bryce didn't hit him. But here's the reality. At some point, there's got to be better play design. You can't just put somebody out there and keep saying, win your one-on-one, win your one-on-one. At some point, you have to be that dude that decides, I'm going to draw this player specifically. You did it with Adam Thielen. You mean to tell me the 2 years that Thielen, 2.5 years, 2 full years Thielen was here, we didn't get any of the damn tricks he had? I get it. He's a different beast. He's a different monster. But we haven't seen much Jimmy Horn Jr. out there on the field. You have got to stretch the field. And if Bryce is the one that's not stretching the field, you got to tell him, look, we're going to have to take some shots. Preferably to the matchup that we have that is going to give us the advantage. Now, I know what a lot of people are going to say, well, you can't just throw it up to anybody. The heck you say? I'm going to tell you something right now. One-on-ones with guys like, now I will say this, you stay away from A.J. Terrell. I get that. Mike Hughes out there on that other side is a guy that can be had. He's 5'10". He can be had. I mean, especially if you got him lined up against Jalen Coker or Xavier Legette, at some point we got to preach, give him a chance. Give him a chance. Legette made that big grab in that game with the Jets when Bryce went out and Dalton threw it up to him. Back shoulder throws. Look, I've said this on this show before. We got a basketball team out there. Legette's pushing 6'3". Coker is 6'3", almost 6'4". Ted McMillan's closer to 6'5" than 6'4". Our tight ends, 6'4". Evan, 6'5". Tommy Tremble, 6'4". Look, at the end of the day, we can have these guys. Now, the dangerous part is you got a guy like Billy Bowman who was really a safety at Oklahoma, who's playing nickel for the Falcons. The Falcons are really playing with 3 safeties out there, which is starting to become a slow, but I imagine it's going to be the newer trend with these athletic quarterbacks. If you got Billy Bowman matched up with Jalen Coker, I'm taking that all day. I'm taking that. Especially with the Falcons, the way they like to blitz. We have to come to an understanding that Bryce is 5'10". He had more balls batted down last week than he had almost the entire season. That is a problem when we're sitting here trying to throw short and we're not getting those windows. The offensive line does not have Robert Hunt. That's got to be an emphasis for now. We're going to have to take deeper shots. That's just the way it is until we can get Bryce's his full level of confidence the way he had it last season. Right now, he's not playing with that kind of confidence because ultimately we have drug, and not giving him the confidence that he needs. These short throws don't make him confident because those are throws that he can make. We need to get him making throws that look tough, which this Adam Thielen trade is looking dumber by the minute now because Adam Thielen's not even a part of their game plan. Could you imagine him with Teterow and McMillan? And see, what happens is when you start getting one guy along with another guy, then that brings in the cokeheads, which means Jalen Coker becomes a guy, which means Xavier Legette becomes a guy, which means Jatavian Sanders, Tommy Tremble, Mitchell Evans, who's been silent the last 3 games. This offense is playing like it doesn't know what to do. And where does that start? Coach Canellis. You coaching like you scared to get an interception thrown. You coaching like you scared to call the wrong play. Just go out there and dictate. Defenses know. Defenses know when they got you on the ropes. You got to keep them on the ropes. But let us look into the numbers, you guys. While Atlanta is not very good record-wise, defensively, they're not a pushover. And, I mean, this is a team that is just outside of the top 10 in total defense. No, I stand corrected. They're in the top 10, allowing only 27.79, and this is a team that has already been on its bye. So you could argue there's a little bit of, well, I'm not going to get into that. But, you know, when you look at this team, the rushing yards that it presents, this is a team that has given up a lot. They've given up just as many as we have. You take that 244-yard performance, this team is right there in the top 15. But for a team that has had its bye and it's right there at the bottom, that's not good. But guys, we've seen teams that haven't been good against the run. They come in and they slam the door shut because they know exactly what to do. This is where Dave Canellis needs to come out. And I know a lot of you ain't going to agree with what I got to say. You run play action pass on the first play of the game and take a shot down to either Teterow McMillan or you try Billy Bowman if he is lined up against Xavier Legette or Jalen Coker. Preferably Jalen Coker. We got to get Coker going. Now, I'm not saying we ain't got to get Excel going, but the other thing we can't do is we cannot keep forgetting our tight ends. We can't. We cannot. Realistically, there are yards to have on the run game, but the reality of it is, how many times did we see the Jimmy Horn wing back down the formation? I think we saw it twice. We got to put that in at least 4 times a game. You know what I'm talking about, where Jimmy Horn comes down the formation and we hand it off to Ricky Dowdle off tackle. That's what we got to do. We got to make this Atlanta Falcons offense feel the presence of Rico Dowdle. Because if Jonathan Taylor can go out there and get 244, Rico Dowdle could turn around and very well do 200 yet again. However, Daniel Jones looked good last week. He looked pretty darn impressive. We need Bryce to be able to do the same thing. I think we need to institute more bootlegs, more of those wide receivers across the formation type deals. That's the way I look at it. We're not dragging across the formation of doing the things that Bryce does well. We have got to get Bryce out on the perimeter. That is just as simple as that. And if we're not running the football properly or effectively, we can't do that. We got to do that. It's just as simple as that. Defensively, Michael Penix Jr. is really struggling. He's going through the same growing pains that Bryce is going through right now. And there's calls that this could be it already, despite the good that you've seen. I'm not here to vouch for the Falcons because ultimately I'm a Carolina Panther fan. I die blue, black, and silver. I die that. I keep pounding. Despite the fact that I live just 2 hours south of Atlanta and my family lives just minutes from the Mercedes-Benz Stadium, the reality of it is, what do the Falcons do here? And the answer to that question, don't figure it out this week. I honestly think that the biggest issue with the Falcons is, and the Panthers defense has to be aware of this, Tyler Algier is running the ball exceptionally well. And you got Bijan Robinson, who is doing is more effective out of the backfield currently. But the last time we played you guys, this offensive line was able to generate a 5.1 yards per carry against against us. So it wasn't, and we won the game 30-0, but I think Bijan only had like 72, 73 yards rushing. On paper, it didn't look good, but the Falcons abandoned ship that quick. I mean, I'm a firm believer. If Algier's hot, you feed him. If Bijan Robinson's hot, you feed him. But ultimately, you can't take Bijan out of the equation because he is that exceptional of a talent. It's almost like he is one of those guys that is the new Christian McCaffrey type guy. I think ultimately the Falcons and Michael Penix Jr., they rely so much on just two guys, and those two guys, of course, being Bijan Robinson as well as star wide receiver Drake London, whom I don't know if J.C. Horn was looking ahead or what, but he totally forgot that Chris Olave is still an elite guy. And I'm not going to roast and I'm not going to roast J.C. Horn. I think ultimately he did have a rough day, and it happens as a cornerback. He's going to bounce back and be his self, and he's going to have to because Drake London's no joke. A guy that I concern myself with the Falcons that they do not utilize correctly, and any of you guys know, I know it well, Kyle Pitts. This is a guy that has been horribly mismanaged, and as I said, that's the reason why this organization is in the shape that it's in. And this is a guy that is a first-round talent. I don't care what the numbers show you. Call him a bust or won't. This is irresponsibility on the Atlanta Falcons franchise. So I think ultimately if J.C. Horn can win the matchup with Drake London, Darnell Mooney could be a problem. I don't foresee him being an issue. But with Michael Penix where he is at this point in his development, I'm not sure if it's more about scheme or if it's to me it looks more a lot like what Bryce is going through. And he's not seeing the field the way his OC is seeing the field. He's not comfortable with the scheme. He's trigger shy, and that's not good. But you got looking at the injury front, Drake's got a questionable tag to him. I still expect him to play. David Seals V is a guy that's interesting. He's a guy that he can secretly put you down. He can secretly get behind you or make those third down plays. But to me, ultimately, the Carolina Panther defense is going to have to bring the heat. And what I'm really loving about what this defense has been able to do, I don't think the Falcons going to run right at us. Because the guy who is really balling out that is just not getting nearly enough credit, he's starting to come back to form as to where he was last season, and that would be Derek Brown. Derek Brown is just absolutely balling the heck out right now. I mean, anything that comes in that middle, he's right there. Duke got 40 total tackles on the season. Now, granted, Christian Roseboom leads the team with 81, but when you got a safety, an edge, and a corner who's got fewer tackles, Derek Brown is just absolutely getting back to that form. He's got 3 tackles for losses. Trevon Merrick was the absolute best free agent signing that we could have had. Christian Roseboom is coming along because he's had that green dot taken off his hat, and he's looked more free. Now, he's still missing an occasional tackle or two, but we definitely are starting to see massive improvements. I don't know if you can attribute the Falcons' first meeting, because regardless of what the score looked like, guys, that game was a pick 6 or 2 away from being an opportunity for the Falcons to win, because Bijan was running the ball well. I mean, don't get it twisted. Bijan was running that ball exceptionally well, and if people want to sit there and say that we dominated them, the score looked like we dominated them. The Falcons' offense just absolutely laid a brick out there. I don't see that happening with Raheem Morris's job clearly hanging in the balance. But this defense is going to have to do it without Trevin Wallace. He has got an out designation, and yeah, it's going to be Claude Sherilis and Martin Scott that's going to be man in that position. Now, the question is, who's going to wear the green dot? Because we saw when Christian Roseboom had the green dot, he struggled with it. And yeah, and this has all the makings of a bad situation. So I'm hoping, and as well as Lathan Ransom. Lathan Ransom is out this week. And, of course, you guys already know about Patrick Jones. But outside of that, those are 2 big ones. I mean, we can't, there's no way around that. Lathan Ransom has been coming in and really doing a better job replacing Nick Scott. Well, he's been playing well all season. He's just had very limited playing ability. But all in all, I think the way this game is going to play out, I think ultimately the Panthers are going to have to run the ball and be opportunistic in the passing game. You can't come out here and be conservative, Canellas. And then on the defensive side of the ball, we're going to have to get pressure on Michael Penix and continue to get pressure on him. Much better in the pass rushing game. Nick Scorton had a great game. He was very vocal about the loss last week. You can see the leadership starting to poke, but his game is also peaking as well. If we can get Nick Scorton to start providing that push, that's going to be a good thing. DJ Wanham's done a great job setting the edge. J.C. Horn can't have a game like he had last week. That's just, he's got to be that big dollar guy, and he admitted to that, and we hope that he's able to come in and do that. And of course, Bryce is going to have to pull the trigger this week. We're going to have to see him pull the trigger, hit more than just Tet. And like I said, he should. Anybody in Panther Nation should resent the fact that somebody on, like Chris Lee would say, Tet would be doing better if he had somebody throwing him the ball. Like I said, this ain't no laughing matter for me, and it's not a laughing matter for you. You guys love the Carolina Panthers, and so do I. I don't make jokes about our players. Some people can sit there and hoo-hoo and ha-ha and then talk about mental health. I'm going to say it again, guys. The best thing we can do is support Bryce. Because it don't do us a bit of good to go get another quarterback next year, because the rebuilding process starts all over again. Now, I know a lot of you are going to say the longer we go, the longer we wait, the longer we push back the rebuilding process. We gave up too much. We need to make this work. And we saw last season what it can look like when Bryce got it going on. So it's not a fluke. It's there. It's time we support and have our foot in the cement when it comes to Bryce being our starting quarterback. Be stubborn with it. Support. Stop being negative. See what a little bit of positivity can do. Let me know what you guys think. Leave your comments down below. If you are a first-time subscriber, make sure you leave your name down in the box. I will give you a big growl out on the air. If you are also in disagreement with me about Bryce or anything in our keys to victory over today's game against the hometown Falcons, as we conclude the I-85 rivalry, please let me know. And let me know if you think we can conclude the I-85 rivalry with our very first sweep of the series. Oh, I knew about that, guys. I hear it all the time. The Falcons have swept us, but we never swept them. Even the year we lost one game. That was the one game we lost. Make sure you go to the Facebook group and the Facebook page, Growlin' and Prowlin'. Make sure you add and join the group. Finally, if you want to keep up with me on Instagram, make sure you go over to Mr. CeeLo so you can keep up with all of my in-season and off-season shenanigans every day. But until the next time, don't forget to leave your mark while prowling the airwaves and growling out. Keep pounding.